All right, you are
What is
on.
going on, guys?
Bud me out
How
the
are
way.
you guys doing today? We are coming live from Denver, Colorado, where the local temperature is 9 degrees. Wonderful, lovely Snow White North is where we're coming from. About to do the Denver Horse Expo, and we are here to review some videos, help some folks out with what they got going on, see if we can help some folks move their hands up and down, back and forth, see if we can get them where they need to be. One of the things I was just talking about with one of my wonderful students is how beneficial videoing is. A lot of times you don't realize until you look back at yourself on video of what you're doing. So sometimes people will take a video for me to give them a little help with, review, give some suggestions. And when they go back and look at their own video, they're like, oh, I was doing this or I was doing that. So I really love for you guys who are taking those videos, spending the time because it's really beneficial. And it's beneficial for myself too. A lot of times now, whenever I'm roping, I will take videos of myself so that I can see my posture, see where my rope is at, what I'm doing, where my position is at. And even without somebody to help give me pointers, I can fix myself a lot just by looking at those videos. Hey, everybody. See everybody in the comments over here. Hope you guys are having a great day. For all my Southerners, hope you had a great Mardi Gras. Well, without further ado, I bring to you, let's get into these videos. All right, so we're here trying to flag our horse. What? Way to disengage.
Good boy.
Working a little approach and retreat.
Where they can't go that far.
It is a lot easier in a round pen.
Good boy. He wants to so bad. Good boy.
So now, in these scenarios, it's good if you can stop him a little there. But remember, if he gets the pulling on you, make sure your job is to keep him faced up, not so much to get his feet to stand still. Because if he goes to dragging you, there we go, and then release and get back on that loose rein, it's so much easier to
Good job.
disengage and release than to try to hold them in one spot. Because when you try to hold them in one spot and they start pulling on you, it gets really tough.
Good boy.
Very nice.
Oh, that must be Raptor, their little stud colt.
Marina said she had to switch to Facebook to see the videos. Is that wrong?
Oh, whoops.
They're like, what's
Oh,
going on up here? Really, Reba? I can't outpower him.
No, you can't. But you can get him to turn.
Did you judge it? I'll get this.
So she said earlier how much easier it was in a round pen. It is easier whenever you don't have to deal with that horse having the freedom to go as far as they want. But the key there, remember, if a horse pulls back from you, your job is to keep them facing, not necessarily hold them in place, because you can walk faster than what that horse can run backwards. Yeah. Looks like she's feeling a little wall speed today.
Is it the bull doing that to her?
Yep, he's moving that tree down there.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize because we left the audio on the video because there was just a lot of stuff going on. But basically, every time he's gotten on her, she does something like this. She's spooking at something.
Yes.
So I'm assuming we need to get back and do a little bit more with, 3rd and 4th grade.
Now it's the
I
flipping
caught it
motor.
on video, so I guess I'm being a mean wife. Like, hey, do that again so I can catch it on video.
I'd be
No,
better
no.
if you could get out of there
Nothing wrong with that. So
so you don't get run into the playground or up that platform.
I kind of like
Yeah,
the
there's some
commentary.
colorful language, so I'm just giving the disclaimer now. There's
no worries. So we're kind of sitting around and waiting. I would like to see him start driving. So whether that's disengaging and pivoting her where she can't go forward, or backing her up crooked since she has so much forward. But I would do something to start getting in her way. When you start getting that attention
That was fun.
going away from you, and you're having a hard time bringing it back to you. I kind of don't want to sit passively. He's absolutely right. He has her face off to the side. There we go. So you see when he starts actively driving her
My love.
right there, how everything kind of slowed down. Everything kind of got quiet. That's what we're looking for in those moments. A lot of times when horse sees something, a cow for the first time, or a pig, or this or that or the other, and their attention and their RPM start going, we kind of get passive and just try to hold on for dear life. Once we realize that we have a hold of the situation, then start being proactive so that we can start doing something. Look kind of how this conversation has changed the first time that he stopped and backed her up.
So yeah, he got off here after that happened. It was just,
Gotcha.
Sort of showing her what she was spooking at. So we got a bull over here who's going to go down the road. He's kind of aggressive. So he sort of charged the fence at her. And then we have our Christmas tree, our lovely redneck front yard where we had that in a burn pile and the wind blew it up against the fence. So he's trying to fight the tree through the fence. And I guess it just spooked her, got her going. So
it's a good looking bull.
Yeah, that's why he got left a bull. We had a brother-in-law who needed a bull, and we left two to choose from, and that was the one he didn't pick, which is probably not a bad idea because he's getting a little interesting now that he's going through, bull puberty.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it goes right back to here. Now that he's driving her backwards, just like if we go back and watch that video of him going round and round in circles, the second he got proactive, like he's getting right now, look at her mental RPM slow down because there's something for her to pay attention to. And that's so much of the reason that we play so much horse soccer and we pull noodle fight and we thunderdome and we do such ridiculousness is so people learn how to grab the bull by the horns, if you will. Notice the second he got proactive, how she's more worried about him than she is the bull, even though the bull's like coming up to the fence and being aggressive.
Oh.
Very nice. Love how she's dropping her head. I love the creativity. You can use anything you want to desensitize. Something is only scary if the horse perceives it to be scary. So what that means for you guys is you may have one horse that's absolutely petrified of blue tarps, and for another horse, it's not even an obstacle. So you have to be able to recognize that and kind of do what he's doing right here. Say, oh, you don't like the tree? Here, more tree. Oh, you don't like the bull? Here, let's go over by the bull. If you just do the opposite of what your horse wants to do for 30 days, you're going to have a broke horse because they're going to stop giving you their opinion when they realize every time they say, oh, I don't like that, they end up doing more of that. Very cool. And you say, oh, is it the right thing to do to hop off and redirect? Absolutely. If you feel uncomfortable, like you don't have control of the situation under saddle, well, you probably don't have control of the situation under saddle. If your spider senses are tingling, do whatever you can to have the high ground, or in this case, the low ground. Do whatever you can to get the ball in your court. So if you feel more confident on the ground, if you feel more confident driving that horse, which is where most people do, well, then that's the place to be.
So yeah, this was after he got off and he got
Right.
back on again.
Just like a completely different horse. Doesn't even look the
Yeah.
same. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Whenever I say, hey, you could be the horse could be going through the exercises and you not be getting the answers that you want, because it's about how they go through the exercises. So they could be circling, but if they're circling, they're paying attention to something else. If they're not paying attention to you, you back the horse up and the horse kind of goes through the motions, but really is still yelling and looking for their friends. That's not really backing them up. Whenever you disengage, but the horse's ears and eyes are outward instead of inward, that's not really disengaging. The whole point of all of these, we call it the respect series, because we're ensuring that you gain their respect. So right here, look at that horse. It looks completely different. So much more manageable and easier to deal with. Playing some horse basketball. You got to drop your elbow in and get a little bit more elevation there. Well, we can give basketball tips too.
I saw you play basketball the other day. Probably should.
See, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the form.
We didn't know if we should add this to the retreat. Get a big bouncy ball and a giant hoop.
Oh gosh.
Well,
It's like Quidditch all over again.
they have the mule basketball. No, it's the donkey basketball.
The donkey basketball.
Yeah, donkey basketball. It's a sport.
Oh.
Donkey basketball?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that in the school gym.
Yeah, she's a funny one.
So look.
So she wasn't phased at this at all. Like having a basketball bounce
Gotcha.
for an extra, no big
So-
deal.
so
That
that-
Christmas tree was scary.
That just goes to show you guys, you got to have a short memory. Deal with the horse that you have in front of you. So if he would have treated that horse different because she acted funny whenever he first got on, they would have never got around to playing basketball. But since he realized, hey, I need to get her working good, and then we move on to the next thing, got her playing basketball by the end of it. Same horse, same session. It's kind of hard to believe. All right, working on our sit down. Very nice. Love how that horse is pushing back. Look how the front feet and the back feet are getting close together.
So you guys that are new on here will see that some of these videos go in trends with fun topics.
Very nice.
This is all of our members working on the different challenges for the months.
Very nice. All right, guys. So one thing I would like to see there is let me see if I can move it out. So the horse is already there, ready to sit down. That seat, let's put that bell flat, not the one that's covered, the next one up. Put it flat so that it's under the round part of her butt. And I want it to be flush. I want it to be flush with where her hocks are at. Because she wants to sit down here. She's doing everything in her power to sit down. But then there's nowhere for her butt to go to. And she's not finding that rest spot. So right there, she's doing her very best. And there's kind of nowhere for her to go. That's really good form and good fundamentals. Now she just needs a little ledge, more of a seat for her to put her butt down in. And the bell that you have behind her butt is blocking her. So right now her butt should be sitting on the cushion that you have there, or the wrapped bells, but she can't do that because of that bell there. Man, you're a mind reader. Good job. Okay, now let's see. There we go. There we go. So the next thing that's going to happen is her back feet are going to slip. Her butt's going to find the... So right here, the reason she has just a little bit of hesitation is that little space between her butt and where she's going to sit. It's kind of like when you step off of a roof to put your foot on the ladder. Very good job. Good job. So that's a little bit, and notice how I'm picking, a little bit too much of a seat. That little sit down, that little space is kind of like when you're reaching for a ladder and you can't find it. You can't see it, so you're reaching off of the roof trying to put your foot in the ladder. Well, your foot might be this far from the ladder, but since you can't feel it and you can't see it, it feels like forever. So if that cushion for her to sit down was 3 or 4 inches taller, that means if you put something underneath it, if you made it 3 or 4 inches taller, whenever she went to sit, there wouldn't be this space from her butt to where she's sitting for her to have to do this. She gets to a certain point where she rocks back, her butt comes here, and then she's trying to figure it out. And then there's that 3 or 4 inch free fall. If she didn't have that free fall, you guys have got the fundamentals so down pat that if she's coming here and this was the cushion, she would just find it and she would rest on it. The fact that there's a little drop there is making her where she comes here and she almost wants to commit. And then when she sits, it kind of spooks her and she kind of gets back up. Now, don't get me wrong. If you guys are persistent, you might get it just like that. That's how I used to work with a lot of horses, is one size fits all. But once I worked with Tommy Turvey's ex-wife and Miss Chantel, and she really showed me, hey, how to build it up or down for every horse. My stats of how many horses I could get to sit down was basically any horse I want to sit down, because now they're not having to take that leap of faith, and that's really going to help. So I would suggest bringing that cushion up a little bit more, bringing those bells up a little bit more, whether that means throw 4 inches of shavings underneath them, whether that means put 2 bells on flat instead of sitting upright. But if you take away that little 4 inch, the fundamentals are there. The horse is trying. She kind of understands. It's just that leap of faith. And again, she may do it over the next couple of days and figure it out. But if you run into the case that you're having an issue with that, it's that leap of faith that's giving you that issue. And it's just a matter of building it up for her.
We actually, since that video was taken, we actually got her to do a good sit where she sits
Found
there
her
for a good couple minutes, giving her
Gotcha.
cookies.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm trying to get her to do it for Evan, because she'll get to a point where she kind of leans if he's just doing it by himself, and then she just quits and won't go any further. And then David or I have to go in and get her to sit all the rest of the way. So I don't know if it's just a matter of just doing it more and more for her to get a little bit softer.
Just making it more efficient. You want to be a little bit less patient with your pressure, and then try to get her to do it without you pressuring her, where you just pick the whip up and you haven't even touched her with it. But then if she doesn't and she knows how, that you go ahead and add a little pressure, a little repercussion. So she starts thinking, oh, I need to sit down whenever they, pick that whip up and ask me to sit. That's how you're going to get it light enough for anybody to do it, for a youngin to do it, that maybe is not that persistent.
His arm gets tired. He's like, oh, my arm's tired.
Absolutely.
Quit.
So you can get the horses to sit down at liberty, where you just pick your hand up, they back up to the seat, they sit down by themselves. But to do that, you have to show them, and they have to find their rest. They have to find where it is to relax, where they get the cookies. And then you start just demanding more every day. If they're not in their spot, in their happy place, you're pressuring them. When they sit, they get a release. When she figures that out, where you can basically, as soon as you back her up, she's already backing up to it. Like at the last retreat that we did, I brought a horse in for a sit down, and that joker, we opened the door and I went to tell them about the process, and the horse was already sitting down in the corner, and everybody thought it was hilarious. And I was like, no, you're supposed to wait for me so I can tell people how to do it. But he already knew that that's where the happy place was. So that's what I would suggest with that horse, is to make it where that's the happy place.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
So I'm a little frustrated. So this next video, we were kind of in a rush, and I hurried up and recorded this, and for some reason, the split second got cut off. So he threw 2 loops, and his first one he missed.
There you go.
Reason it didn't show up here, so you're only going to get the one that he caught.
Very cool. Well, tell him I say he did a good job. Look like a cowboy to me.
Thank you. Tell him.
All right, Miss Patty. We got some canter going on. What are we looking for here? Looking great.
I am trying to get this horse to canter, and she is doing everything in the world. She is racking on the front
A little
end,
bit better.
pacing, and she's trotting, and she is just going crazy. Should I do a smaller circle, a bigger circle, faster, slower?
No, I would just what you're doing there. Keep impulsing her. I'll go ahead and bend my knees and wrap my lower leg on her to drive her butt more underneath. That
So you know how short my legs are. This is a big girl.
gotcha, gotcha. Is she a Rocky?
Yeah, she is.
Gotcha. So yeah, so it's just about impulsion there. So right now you want her before you can start picking on her to give you her face more and drive up under. She has to just be committed to going first. So we can't do it all at the same time. So right here, I want you to absolutely keep squeezing, keep kicking, and only leave her alone when you feel the rock like that. And then once she knows, oh, I better get there. She actually did better on the other side. So when she was going the other way, let's check it real quick.
Better.
So right there, when she's going this way and you have the crop on this side, she has a little bit more impulsion. So I would put the crop to the inside every time. And anytime you don't feel that rocking chair, I would crop and give a little energy so that she wanted to, okay, this is my happy place. And then once she figures out that it's her happy place, then I'll start dropping her nose in. But you can't drop her nose in first because she's just not going to go. You know, she's going to try to break.
She just carries her head like that.
Gotcha.
That's just her.
So
She is opposite of Taylor.
got you. So when we go to bring her butt underneath her, we're going to have some way to drive her forward. And if we can't hold on to her face, it's going to be difficult to make her more compact. So what you're saying is basically when you're cantering here, look how far her hocks get out behind her tail.
Yes.
So it's not the circle.
Yes.
It's impulsion really. She needs to know.
Okay.
So I'd bring that crop to that inside. And whenever she wasn't giving me a rocking chair, I would crop on her, especially on that back inside leg to make that back inside leg want to get under her. And that's going to make her a lot easier. Impulsion followed by collection. But you got to get her willing to go and knowing what the happy place is, where that release is. The release is the canter. And we don't care if it's a little wonky or if it's a little pacey, but we need the rocking chair, not the flat train track rails. We don't want her flat.
She is everywhere.
Yeah, we want her rocking. It looked pretty good. Kind of what you were getting to the right, going to the right, should be your goal for the next few rides. Either direction, when I say the word canter, this is what I want. I want to feel those withers pick up. When she understands that that is the only place you're going to leave her alone whenever you ask her to canter, from there, then we can start softening and start dropping her head and asking for the head drop, then the canter. When you start doing those two things together, it's going to make her more compact, which is going to drive her butt up underneath her. When you do that, that's when you're going to get that real rocking chair that you want.
Okay, sounds better.
Hey, you're on the right track.
Yeah, she's a different girl.
They all are. They all are.
Yeah, they are. I know it. Okay, thanks.
No problem. All right, Miss Barb, what you got going on? Oh, whiskey.
You know, the ones that send in videos often when you know the person's name, the horse's background. You've had the horse in for training.
Yep.
They've been to 6 retreats, or Barb, I think, is probably on like number 9 by now.
Yeah, it does give a little insight on these reviews whenever I've worked the horse, ridden the horse, trained the horse, worked with the person. It's like, oh, this horse has a tendency to do this or that. Whiskey is looking very chill. Riding around one-handed, head down, dropping the head with the heels. Nice quiet departure. Legs wrapped up. All right, Miss Patty. So this is kind of very similar type mare. She was when she started wanting to canter whiskey had all kind of things she would offer. Every day that they canter and the lower that horse's head gets, the more she could put her legs on him, the more you hear a 3-beat. Blug-a-dum, blug-a-dum.
Let me know when you get to a good stopping point.
Does that mean like the end?
Like a good pausing point just between riders.
Gotcha. Hey, I can't see the I want to be able to see the comments.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Working on speed transitions. They are looking good. I like how quiet she is, how she's coming right back to you. Have you noticed, Miss Barb, the better you're getting with your legs and the better you're able to stop her and back her with your legs, the easier it is to transition downward? Very nice. So you started off on the wrong lead. All you did was transition down and come right back. She got on the proper lead. She anticipates a lot. So when you start getting more and more finished, anticipation is absolutely king. You know, you need that for sure. You definitely want to get to a place though where every single thing that you do, you set it up the same way. So on my finished horses, every time my hips get crooked, one leg gets forward, the other one comes back, they already know they're about to canter. Anytime I push their hips over, they're waiting for that second one. Now, if they're anticipating to the point that they are cantering departing without you, or they're stopping without you, or they're trotting without you, well, then that's when you can start setting traps for them where you allow them to mess up and then you do something different. You allow them to mess up and then you do something different. But anticipation is good. All those horses that look so special in the show ring, you better believe they anticipate everything that's going to happen. Then it's just a game of making them wait for you. All right, this is Miss Maria.
Pause for just a second.
Gonna stop for a second. We have an announcement.
Yeah, so back on Charlene's video, the first one that you did with Raptor with the little
Yes.
Paso colt. She said, I'm working with Raptor, my 7.5-month-old Pasofino colt. I'm attempting to work Raptor with the flag stick. Before my husband started recording, I attempted to bring the flag stick up the lead rope to his nose and he lost it. Running away, veering, bolting, the only way I was able to stop him was to physically jerk him back to facing me. I stopped my approach because he was also taking me redneck skiing. I was able to get him to stop moving, but was unable to move forward towards his nose. I'm still continuing to work with him on it, but I'm unable to stay with him like Michael does to get a quick response. Any help on this would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for all you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're talking about the a young colt that's not even started yet that we're trying to flag for the first time. And she said, oh, I really don't want to have to pull hard on his face. I mean, he was dragging me. I had to grab him really hard to get him to face up and shut him down. So a couple things. Number one, whenever you ask a horse to lead for the first time and you put a halter on them and they have no idea, they take off like a banshee and you have to pull them around a couple times. And you have to do it in a way that they say, ooh, I don't want to do that again. The next thing you say, well, I understand that, but I'm still having a hard time. You notice in the first videos, the horse we're talking about, that we're in big open spaces. If we see that they are getting the better of us in big open spaces, there's a couple things we can do. If the big open spaces is the only place you have and they're getting the better of you, we can set them up for success by softening them up before we start. What do I mean by that? So if I have a horse like that and they're really bolting, really surgy, well, I'm not just going to go to the red zone with the flag stick that I know they're going to lose their mind. I'm going to charge them a little bit, come up to them a little fast so they want to bolt off, and now I have 2 free hands and 2 free feet to pull them around, and I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times until they
Without the flag stick.
Until they don't dare look away from me. So if the flag stick is absolutely bonkers, I can't hold them, have no chance, I'm going to charge them a couple times just with myself and make them kind of want to run off from me. And then before they get turned around, when they're backing and they're about to turn, that's the easiest time to grab a hold of them and disengage them back your way. So I would do that 3, 4, 5 times until you can run at them full speed and they just kind of wince, but they don't move off. They don't move their feet because they don't want to get pulled on, is kind of what we're looking for. You'll see that all the time with horses that we have to lead for the first time. They have no idea what a halter is, and you put a halter on and they take off full heartedly. You have to, we say control the head, control the horse, but we're controlling the head so we can disengage the hindquarters, so we can cross up those back feet and shut that motor down. And once they realize, first time you're full training a horse and you put a halter on them, they run off. Well, they run off, you pull on their face, it disengages their hindquarters, and now they're facing you. And they're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Then they run off in the opposite direction. Well, they might do this in a series of 2, 3, 4 times, but very quickly they say, oh, that didn't work. And now that you have their face and their undivided attention, from there you can start working. So if the only place you have to work, which is not suggested, is a big open space, you're just going to have to soften them up to your liking and to your level before you start with the flag stick. Now, if you have my suggestion and you have the opportunity, I would say get yourself in a smaller space. The smaller the space, the less soft you have to have them in order to keep them faced up. So you're talking about how it's easier in a round pen. You can get in a round pen. If you have smaller confined areas in that way, that's really going to make it where you don't have to run too far, especially if you're getting really drug around. That's really going to shut them down and take away a lot of their momentum. But it's the same story. You got to get their face. You got to get them crossed up in the back end, and they need to think, ooh, I really do not want to run to this line. But when they start running backwards, when he starts running backwards, I need you coming forwards, and you move your feet with him, and you're waiting for him to disengage. So you say, oh, well, I wasn't fast enough. Whenever you say you weren't fast enough, without seeing it, what I imagine is when that horse started running backwards and you started chasing him, you already had contact with him, so that whenever he rolled over his shoulder and got away from you, there was no impact. There was no friction there. Bink. So you couldn't stop him because he already had you. As opposed to he's backing up, you chase him backwards and you leave a little belly in the rein, a little belly, a little belly, a little belly in the lead rope, so that whenever he goes to roll over his haunches and run away, right when he sits down on his butt and goes to turn, boom, that's when he runs into the halter and he says, oh, I don't want to do that. That's what's really going to change his mind. But most people, when the horse wants to go away from them, they want to hold on to it. And whenever they hold on to it, now you're playing tug of war with the horse. And he may only be 7 months, but he's already stronger than all of us are. So if we play tug of war and then add a little momentum, that's when you get the sensation, oh, he's faster than me, right? You want him to think that, okay, he goes backwards. You give him the chance by going with him, but there's still a belly in the reins. And when he goes to turn, that's when he runs into the pressure. It straightens him up and shuts him down. So those are really the two options that are going to be the best for you, depending on the facility you have to work with. What do you mean give you the face? All right, Miss Sherry, what I mean by giving you the face, when they take their face away from you, is when they get scared and they pull you're here and they pull their face away from you, and now they're dragging you or running away with you. I want when he's spooked of you, or when he's spooked of what you have in your hand and he goes to turn, I need him to give you his face and look at you, 2 eyes, 2 ears, even if his body's turned the wrong way. You hold on to his face here. Now his back feet are going to disengage and he's going to be faced up with you. That's called giving you his face. Whenever they take their face from you, that's the horse that turns their face, gets all their weight behind driving away from you, and either pulls the rope out of your hand or kicks you on the way out or puts you in a bad position.
Redneck skiing.
Go redneck skiing, get drugged. Horrible injuries happen in this scenario that the horses don't give their face. They get turned around. Now you're out of position and you're in the danger zone. Usually you're getting drugged with your head past your feet. So you're all out of position, and now the horse throws a kick back at you. Horrible accidents happen like this. So what I want is for that horse to think that I can't get my face away from you. So since I can't get my face away from you, you're holding here. No matter where they go, their face is with you. So they stop trying to turn and run. They start facing the problem, facing the fear. In this life, you have to face your fears. You have to face your problems. No problems go away by avoiding them.
And fixing it from the ground lets you know that you can handle it in the saddle. You're not going to have a horse run off with you.
Absolutely. So don't be afraid that you grab a hold of them a couple times. think about it. It's so much easier to grab a hold of him a couple times now at 7 months old and mean it than whenever he's 2 years old or 4 years old or 5 years. When we get these horses in to start that have never been touched and they're 6 or 7 and they're full grown, when they run to the end of that lead rope, they are putting all of their might behind it. So if you can go ahead now at 7 months old and go ahead and nip it in the butt and stop it before it becomes a problem, it'll be so much easier for you. All right, Miss Maria. First ride of the day, head down and draw reins, trying to release. Looks like she's working a snaffle and some draw reins. Got a nice little turnaround on her mare. Very nice. She's got her Mardi Gras colors on. So what are we using draw reins on this mare for? This mare has the tendency to get hot and want to stay hot. So Miss Maria is looking to put her head down. And what you see is she has the reins hooked to the bottom of the cinch to a snaffle.
What does putting their head down do?
Putting their head down, whenever their pole drops below their withers, it releases an endorphin that kills adrenaline. So it really gets them to relax nice and easy. Notice every time this mare gets excited, her head pops up. And I believe it looks like this right side of the draw rein is on the inside of her leg. So one's on the outside, one's on the inside.
So where do you prefer them?
So you see this around the outside of the legs. So you see this.
I thought I had them on the outside, but you know, I was telling you earlier, it was kind of a disaster this morning on this ride. Like I don't have my helmet on either.
Were you still partying from Mardi Gras?
No, I was disappointed because I was supposed to go have a lesson with Hannah and my truck's engine light came on.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So this is looking good right here. So what she's looking for, she wants to be able to canter her horse off and that horse leave her head down. Horse hasn't been worked in a while. First ride back, getting what she wants out of it. So she is working on putting a ceiling on this mare. So what this mare is looking for is for that release. There we go. Driving her forward, sit back, legs wrapped up on her. So whenever you have a mare like this that has been worked her whole life up in the bridle, head high, way above her saddle, and you're trying to completely change, whenever you give her time off or do that, you may have a day or two of where she tries to revert into what she spent most of her life doing, and that's okay. I mean, it's to be expected. And our job is to just be the professor, be the one that's driving and say, no, that's not what I want. So left and right controls where you go. If you can control left and right, a horse can't buck with you, rear with you, or run with you. As long as you can control up and down, you can control how the horse goes. So right now she's taking a real hot mare and saying, hey, drop your head so you can be more relaxed. I want you to be more ranchy. I want you to be more usable for different things. I want you to be able to canter and cover ground. Whenever we first started working with this mare, I mean, all she wanted to go is tick, 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 right in place, and she didn't really want to cover any ground or, heaven forbid, go in the woods. She acted like she's seen too many Disney movies and didn't want to go into the enchanted forest. Once we got control of left and right, we were able to get her to go wherever we wanted, and then once we start controlling up and down, we can start controlling how she's going, that she's more relaxed, that she's easier. I love her being at the horizontal, which means from the top of her head to the top of her butt is a straight line. Whenever you're spinning this way, we need to work on getting that inside leg off of her a little bit better. I feel like she's getting blocked with that inside leg. There we go. Better that way. There you go. Sit back on your butt. Wrapping our legs up on her, sitting back and driving her forward. All right, so take into account, this is how your standard changes. This is how the more educated you get, the more you expect of. This young lady thought that she was having a horrendous looking ride, horrible ride on that mare, that she was just a mess after a long time of her not riding. I know a lot of folks who, if they had the ride that you just had that you thought was horrible, that would have been the best ride they had all year. If they could walk, trot, canter their horse and walk it around on loose rein after they got done cantering and the horse didn't try to murder them, that they would have an awesome ride. So that's kudos to you and your learning curve, how far you've come, that you think, man, that was just so bad. That's so bad. That's awesome. That's how we should all feel. We should all get such a learning curve that if it doesn't go perfect, we're kind of upset with ourselves and trying to push harder. That just shows you on camera that your standard is really getting high. Whenever it doesn't go just right, you're thinking, man, I could have did better, done better, making adjustments. So now this is the second video because she wanted to make adjustments, because in the first video, she didn't feel like she was getting enough. So that is awesome. That's exactly what I'm talking about, your standard raising. So with this, we have the draw reins off. Now you see her working on again and again, just asking her to lower her head, making it easier and easier for that mare to know where she wants. Anytime her head gets above her back, she's saying, no, that's not where I want you. This is where I want you. And sometimes you feel like you get the chicken pecking going on. Whenever you get the chicken pecking where you're asking a horse to drop and they pick it up, asking a horse to drop and pick it up, understand, especially if you're coming from a gaited horse or an English horse or a hot horse that they have had their whole life with their head high, and you're trying to get them Western on loose rein and relaxed and easy, you may have to do that 1,000 times. You may have to get rep after rep for them to finally understand, okay, I spent the last 10 years with my head up high, but now I get left alone. If that takes you days and weeks, it's okay if it takes you multiple reps of getting it understood. This mare right here, if we started her from day one and we asked her to put her head down and that's where she was comfortable, in less than a month, we could have her going anywhere we wanted with her head down. She wouldn't even think about picking it up. But when we're taking a horse like this that was already wound for sound and already spent her whole life with her head up and pushing on somebody's hands, and now we're saying, hey, now we want you to be a relaxed trail horse. We want you to have your head down. We want you to be relaxed. Well, then that's why it's harder and takes more reps. It takes more persistence. Very similar to the reason that the U.S. military, they want 18-year-olds. They don't want 30-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. They want 18-year-olds. Have you ever spent any time around the 18-year-old? They're about good for nothing. I have a ranch where we have all the 18-year-old work you need. And I'm telling you, they are not the most desired employees. But the military says, hey, I can mold them in to be whatever I want to be. It's the same way with the horse. So if you have your more seasoned horse. So right there, Miss Maria, same thing. Whenever we're going right, we need to take that right leg off. We're kind of, our hands and our bodies and everything is doing the right thing, but then that leg is getting in the way. So right there, make sure you have a big open door. You see how that right leg, you're asking the horse to go right, but then the right leg is touching. So everything is saying go right, but you're holding the door closed with that inside leg. So that's really going to help when you open that door. Back to the 18-year-olds, it's the same way with horses. You have to have more patience or be willing to put in more reps. When your horse was educated one way and you're completely trying to go another direction with them, which we do it, I mean, all the time, every day we do this. You just have to understand it's going to be a little bit longer road. And as long as you know it, you know that that's the case, then the frustration leaves you. There we go. That's a little bit better with that leg coming off of her. She moved a little bit more freely. So especially coming to the right, look how that right leg stays stuck on her. Watch me come around. See how it's not an open door? That right leg was on her ribs. That's giving you that's why she's kind of stuck there and she's not moving freely.
Yeah.
You have 9/10 of what you're doing right. Your body's right. You're sitting on the proper cheek, melting to the inside, looking the way you want to go. Everything's working good, except that one leg is holding the door closed.
Okay, got it. You know, it's another thing. She has such a weird little choppy canter
Yes.
that I'm not real comfortable sitting it compared to my other horses.
Right.
And so that's just something that I made an observation about.
Absolutely. So it kind of goes right back to what Miss Patty was talking about, looking at her horse. It's the same thing, just a miniature, quicker version. Is we have to get that impulsion. She has to be willing to go before we can drop her head the way that we want. So you see, actually, her head's higher, but she's cantering better because she's not so trapped, right? So she's going a little bit better. Then once she knows, hey, we're going to canter. Mama likes to canter, you're going to canter.
Well, since we've been cantering her, she'll pick it up easier, but she'll tend to break down. You know, like I could do maybe a lap and a half, and she'll tend to break down. And some of it, I think, is my discomfort, not sitting as easy in her canter. Like maybe she's getting a cue from me.
Gotcha.
But she's a good girl. I'll keep her.
And then right back to that gate there. So whenever she came, like that little short choppy gate, that was the only gears that she was really offering to us. You would ask her to go faster and she would just speed up her feet, but you weren't going any faster forward. So you're definitely on the right track. You just need to keep doing what you're doing and understand that she's coming really far away. The more educated that they are doing one thing, and when you change that, the easier it is for them to revert back to that. So whenever you have those days that they revert back and try to be, when the off the track thoroughbred tries to revert back to a track horse, that barrel horse tries to revert back to a barrel horse, that gated horse tries to revert back to the show ring, you just have to be mentally prepared. Okay, this could happen. And when this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And try not to let them draw you into a hissy fit with them. Because a lot of them, to them, this work is boring and they're looking for that disorder. So if you can just keep them on task and stay focused, okay, what adjustments can I make? You're going to be so much better off. But good work.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right. Backing up crooked. We're working on just walking. She always wants to go towards home at a fast gait. I don't think I was giving enough release when she walked. Well, you got to understand too, Miss Barb, is this mare has that kind of show walk where she kind of is accustomed to somebody holding her in that walk. And that walk right there is exactly what you would see in the show ring. in the show ring, they call that a pleasure walk. And I give it air quotations. Nobody else thinks it's pleasurous, but in the show ring, if they go 1, 2, 3, 4, even if you're having to hold them, then they consider that a pleasure walk. So that would be a show walk. If you really want that just down to earth, hold the end of the reins and then walk, it's all going to come down to our ability to get her head down. As long as she's going with her head that high above the saddle, you're going to have that short, choppy walk. So right there, she's allowing you to hold her in a 4-beat walk. But if you want that quarter horse on loose rein, flat, deadhead, trailhead, it's going to all be about getting the top of her head below her back. And if you can do that, you'll get her to relax. You'll get her to be easy. So backing up crooked, and really the focus, instead of, yes, we want her to walk, but the focus more being on put your head down, will really help that situation out. All right. Do we have any?
We do.
We
some
have
questions.
We have some questions in that we are going to answer right now.
Miss Patty from the Horse Help Club said, Liberty, do you mark train? And do you have any videos on how to start a Liberty circle, or can you shoot one?
I do believe we have.
Are there the videos with Tarzan? You start introducing him to.
Yes, I did. I did some with Biscuit. I did some with Tarzan. I have to go. This is gonna sound crazy. I've made so many videos I can't remember which ones are posted because we've done thousands of videos.
But they're titled in there, so she can look at the Liberty videos with Tarzan, the ones with Seabiscuit. I think there's a day 1 and day 2 with Seabiscuit, and then we can start working on getting some more advanced videos.
Gotcha.
As well.
So I'll double check to be honest. If you go to the library and go through the Liberty series that we have, I know I had a couple startups because I had one of my Liberty instructors. They told me, hey, I said, hey, I really want to learn Liberty. And they said, sure, no problem. You just come down to our ranch. I came down to the ranch. They had a rescue and they said, hey, if you start horses for the rescue for my wife, I'll show you how to do Liberty. Okay, no problem. Every day I started and worked probably about 15 horses. And then the Liberty instructor would come out for, 30 minutes and give me a Liberty lesson on his finished horses with his whips. And he would say, here, you point them this way to do that. If you point them this way, they rear up. If you point them this way, they lay down. I was like, oh, great. Awesome. I didn't realize at the time, because you don't know what you don't know, but he didn't show me anything. He showed me how to drive already made Liberty horses. So I knew whenever I did my Liberty series that I wanted to do a lot of starting, because without that start and that initial draw, that it's hard. So we'll check on the Liberty series that we have. I know that I have a couple starting videos and starting of a circle, starting of draw, because I got
with Mango. There's 3 or 4 videos of Mango too.
I got burnt so bad the first time that I left the house to a Liberty mentor and didn't learn anything because they didn't show me the start, that I know I made the start videos. And then I will see about making some more in-depth videos for some more finished horses for you guys.
Okay. Having a problem with the lay down. This is Miss Lori. Horse won't keep head down, won't pick up foot with head down, just paws the ground instead. Miss Lori.
Won't pick up foot with head down?
Yeah, so the steps, drop the head, pick up foot. It doesn't want to pick up the foot, it just wants to paw. So what should she do? But it picks
his head back up. So anytime you're layering behavior, you always got to go back to the first behavior. So if you start tapping on a leg and they start pawing, but they pick their head up, we need to go back and tap that belly again and put their head back down. If the head's down and then they're pawing one leg, well, let's go ahead and tap that other leg that is, as long as their head's still down, let's tap the leg that is not moving. And you'll see, okay, they're going to figure that out real quick. Like if they start pawing, that other leg's going to get tapped.
Next question is from Miss Terry. I believe she's on here with us now. In preschool, my horse still is not comfortable going over any obstacle on the ground, free lunging or line lunging. He will do one good one and a lot of rushing the next day. Same story. So explain what the purpose of passing preschool is.
Gotcha.
And then what you move on to after.
Gotcha. So preschool is the art of you gauging how respectful they are to you, how much they respect you versus the obstacle. So if they're rushing over obstacles, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me in preschool is the horse that would run you over, not to go over this much tarp. That's the problem. And that really lets you gauge, oh, this horse has been coddled, or this horse has been told that, hey, humans are harmless, don't worry about us, because it really lets you gauge from there, okay, how much you need to gain their respect. If your horse is going away from you, is respectful of you, won't dare run towards you, but is scared going over the obstacles in preschool, that's completely okay. Now we need to start getting into first grade, getting into kindergarten, getting in the first grade, and really gaining control of their head, so that whenever we do ride them and do work them, we can really shut them down easily when they get spooked, but all built off of their respect and their attention on us. So again, we don't have to pass perfect. All we're gauging in preschool is that they're willing to go away from us. The horse that doesn't, it's a real red flag to let you know, hey, watch out for that one. Whenever he gets a little worried, when he gets a little spooked, your backing isn't going to matter. They're going to try to run you over. That's the purpose of preschool.
Okay, perfect. And then if you have questions on there, I will add, we had a question about adding a Roman riding and getting Roman riding horses started for a video. And then another question was about adding video lessons. So we just redid our platform for our TAC, our merchandise, our services, and we'll be adding in a virtual training session, and it'll just be priced the same as our in-person session. And we'll get that set up and have instructions on how to sign up for that. And that's all I have for mine.
Very cool. I'm from Wisconsin. We call the head down, walk slow, and relax walk the dead man's walk. My horse loved this. Yes, Miss Cindy, I love that. You wouldn't believe the town. I'm from a rodeo town in Mississippi, a couple world champion NFR families. And my whole life, we've been told, you pay for the go, not the whoa. My whole career has been based off of my ability to get the whoa, the relax, to be easy. I've traveled around the world for that dead man's walk that you're talking about, just to get a hot horse, just to relax and be easy. Let's see.
The team is setting up the booth for us right now in Colorado, and Shelby, they have this really long ramp that goes up to the top floor of the Coliseum, and they said they were able to get up it, and they're in the building. The problem is they don't know with the amount of ice and snow that is going, but how going down the ramp is going to be.
With the truck and trailer?
With the truck and trailer, because the turn at the bottom.
As long as the booth's out, that's all that matters.
Just say goodbye to the truck and merch trailer.
We'll leave the truck and trailer as the steaming heap in the bottom, as long as the people come and can see our stuff.
Oh gosh, it's fine.
I think I'm experiencing the same issue with Valkyrie, that girl, that you noted that she wants to be stiff and not give of the head. She does give from the ground, not so much from the saddle. Is this just repetition? Yes, Miss Stacy, it's repetition and addition of pressure. So we have to understand what makes the horse uncomfortable so we can leverage that into them finding the release. Understand, guys, anytime we make the horse, I don't want to be out here making horses uncomfortable. I use that discomfort and making them mentally uncomfortable to leverage that with them finding the answer. So if you feel like you get in a saddle and she picks up a notch, she gets a little bit more adrenaline, she gets a little stiffer, but then we don't increase our pressure or our level of communication with her, you might just repetition. But if it doesn't make her say, ooh, I don't want to do that again, well, you're going to continue to get the same answer. So day by day, you should see the horse getting softer and easier, softer and easier. If the horse is not getting softer and easier, that's just letting you know you're not taking it to a level that they respect. They're not taking it to a level where they're thinking, ooh, I don't want to do that again. It's the same thing if your kid is getting in trouble at school the same way. You're grounding them or giving them a repercussion. If they do it multiple times, well, then whatever your repercussion is really didn't resonate with them. So it's really to understand, hey, I got to take it one step further than the horse that I'm dealing with. Did you start with a halter or loose? My arena is so big that I have a bunch that run if I don't start with a lead rope. All right, Ms. Barb. So if I start and I have a big area that I'm starting Liberty with, I'm going to start with a halter and lead and start showing them how to draw first. Whenever I do like to start loose, but when I start loose, I like to start my Liberty loose in a small pen. If it's a big arena, I already want them to get the answer. I already want them to know how to draw. I already want them to be comfortable with my whips and realize that my whips aren't pushing them. They're drawing them. And I start that, especially in an arena as big as yours, definitely going to start on a halter and lead rope whenever I start my Liberty. All right, let me run through here and see if there's some more questions. I watched all of them. No Liberty Circle. No big deal. I'll be happy to get one put in for you as soon as I get back to sunny, warm Mississippi. All right. I'm not glitching out. This is just how Redneck reads. I'm running through my comments here on the side.
For those of you that
Miss
are in
Linda
the,
says she has her new arena is a mud pit. I know the feeling.
I can see that. For those of you that are in the Colorado area, we will have 3 demos a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the expo. Come see us. We would love to talk with you at our booth. If you've got your horse coming, we can't wait to work your horse.
All right. So I have a horse that doesn't like people walking behind her. I have tried.
Remember, you can put it up on this.
I've tried ground driving.
Let's do
And she
this.
spun and trembled. And she spun and trembled. I have a couple exercises for you. Number one, it's not that you did long lining wrong. It's just you got to make sure you have the long lines through your stirrups. And whenever she goes to spin, hold on to that outside line until it shuts her down. You say, well, she spins too fast. I can't do that. Well, then you may want to do what we like to call the whirly bird, where we put the lead rope around their butt and hold on to the reins. Well, if she tries to spin towards you, you just let her go in a circle around you with it touching her butt. And then you can start pulling her back and forth and getting her softer and easier left and right. So those are the 2 videos I would want you to see is the whirly bird and long lining. Long lining, again, anytime that your horse spins around and gets the lines loose and tangled up, doesn't mean that you did it wrong. It just means that we lost timing and we didn't hold on to that outside line. So if she spins to the right, you got to hold on to that left line and don't let her get faced up with you. If you can do that, you can really, I have fixed so many exploding horses that were unfixable and unworkable long line like that.
And those videos are both inside the Horse Help course. Your long lining is going to be in your what to do when your horse fails kindergarten. And your whirly bird is going to be in if your horse is failing first grade. So there's going to be a couple different examples in there for you. And then we also use long lines as an example in the hot horse demo inside the Horse Help course.
So Miss Steph says, oh, let's show it. All right. How do you build trust with your horse? It's going to hurt some feelings, but it's not with a cookie. I do love to give my horse cookies, but that's not how I build trust. How you build trust is by going through something with them. When you go through something with somebody and you come out on the other side, it builds a certain repertoire. It's how you can know somebody for 12 years through high school. How many hundreds of people do you know out there that you went to high school with? You've never talked to since you graduated high school. But people in the armed forces go to Afghanistan or Iraq for one tour for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months together, and they are lifelong battle buddies. You have folks, you know, that went to Korea together, to Vietnam together, and they're still buddies 60 years later. That's because when you go through something, you grow together, you grow that bond together, have been through something. So what you don't realize is that with a horse, you can go through life or death situations without really being in a life or death situation. Every time you flag them or tarp them or do an obstacle or do something scary, in their mind, this is a life or death situation. And when they come out unscathed and you're the one on the other side standing there with them, guess who saved them? Ooh, you did. So you can build that trust and build that bond so much quicker, not by trying to shield them away from discomfort, not by trying to comfort them and put every kind of boot boot and pad and soft ride, easy glide,
Hey,
this, that, or the other.
easy.
That's not how
Whoa, friend.
you earn their trust. How you earn their trust is anytime that they feel like they're getting in a bind mentally or physically, they look to you for guidance and you help them out of that and they come out unscathed. Every time you do this, you're building more and more and more trust with your horse. So it's my suggestion to put the ball in your court and set as many of those small wins up as possible. The more the ball's in your court, the more that obstacle is in a small pin where it's an easy win. There's no chance of losing. You have everything under control. Whenever you're doing things that the win percentage is just through the roof and the odds of something going wrong is very slim, those are all those easy wins where you can really boost the horse's confidence. And when you're boosting their confidence, you're boosting their confidence in you, in your leadership. So the more they trust your leadership, the more they're going to trust you. And those life or death situations, which may just be a blue tarp or maybe some water or maybe some fireworks or whatever you come up with. We saw in this video, you get a bull and you put it right on the other side of the fence. You get a Christmas tree and you shake it at them. Whatever it is, that's how you build that horse's trust and really get a horse that you feel like you can take that horse anywhere.
Miss Patty, if you get onto the Liberty series, you go to Seabiscuit video about 20 minutes in, he starts working on Liberty circles, and then Mango part 3 and part 4. Basically, you're going to do the same thing that he's doing with the line, and then he's going to tie the line up on their necks. That way it's not in the way, but you still have it as a crutch. And you're basically going to build that funnel and keep doing the same thing he's doing in the exercises until you can stop having to micromanage so much. So all of the foundation for that Liberty circle is in there. You're just not seeing the finished product all the way through. But the steps are there for you.
Facebook user says, a video under success stories. Will you guys review that? It's a proud moment for me and pays tribute to you guys. Absolutely. We love to celebrate our successes. So I don't know if it got in after the deadline or
no. I'm sure it came through as one of the requests, and it might have ended up in one of the reviews. So let me double check and make sure that it went into the proper folder for that.
Ms. Bonnie says, looking forward to see the end result of training you're doing with Bishop and Patrick. They are a Paso and a Paso mule that we have in for training right now. Looking forward to see their end result as well, really getting them out and about and just trying to ask the most of them. That's really what we do with any horse that comes, whether they're gated, not gated. I want when they're done that anything you ask them to do, they're like, oh, okay, why not? And we work so hard on that. And we really want your horses to be as forgiving as possible. And the two ways that we do that is we scare the bejesus out of them, and then we show them what to do with that fear, show them what to do under distress. Remember, everybody gets hurt. They get hurt on trained horses. Very few people get hurt on feral horses, get hurt on trained horses, because when horses get uncomfortable, they forget that they're trained. They look for their own way out. So the way that you do that is you scare the bejesus out of them and show them what to do when they're uncomfortable, and you go fast. So a lot of people, they're scared to get the horse into a canter, or they're scared to trot too fast because they feel like if they go a little bit faster, they'll lose control. Like in a car that you go too fast in. The two ways to get a horse under control under any situation is make sure that they can listen to your leadership when they're going fast and when they're spooked. If you can do those two things, you really have a horse that's ready for any situation. That's just what we're going to be looking for out of those two guys. The MG team is the MG team is bonding war buddy style right now on a Colorado ice ramp.
yeah. I think we're going to have to stop and get some ice on the way back because Shelby said they haven't added anything to it. It's like a really, what would you say? It's like 50, 55 degrees.
No, it's
at
steep.
least. And at the bottom, there's a sharp turn before you go off I don't know what's on the other side of it, but there's definitely a railing there for something. So all is well. They're keeping us out of the cold weather by doing the live. So
yeah.
Is that why you're stalling?
Who's stalling?
Are you stalling?
No, who's stalling?
Are you sure?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I would never stall. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you guys have a great week. See you at the expo. If you're in the Colorado area, come to Denver. We'll see you there.
Bye, guys.
Bye.